Ayubowan, Vanakkam, I'm Vayoni Dimel. This is Boston Lanka News, bringing you news, views and entertainment from Boston and USA. Chicago Congressman Danny Davis considers LTTE as freedom fighters. Lasantha fearless and courageous editor. Contributions he could have made if he was not killed in 2009. Sri Lankan expatriate community celebrates 63rd anniversary of independence in New York. In December 2010, some members of US Congress wrote a letter to the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, urging the United States to use its presidency of the UN Security Council to push forward a credible and effective process of achieving accountability in Sri Lanka in the last stages of its civil war. Chicago area Congressman Danny Davis and Congressman Jan Schakowsky had led the efforts. Boston Lanka contacted the Congressman Davis's Washington, D.C. office to ask a few questions in regard to that letter. We were asked to send the questions to the Congressman's office. Boston Lanka emailed the questions a week ago. One question Boston Lanka sent was, could Congressman Davis clarify who facilitated and funded his 2005 trip to Sri Lanka? When asked recently about his controversial 2005 trip to Sri Lanka, Congressman Davis had responded, I'm not certain that the trip was paid for by the Tamil Tigers. According to December 19th Chicago Sun-Times newspaper, Congressman Davis considers Tamil Tigers as freedom fighters, comparing the Sinhalese majority to slave owners. Boston Lanka will bring the responses of Congressman Davis to our questions if and when he makes himself available for the interview. Role of Media in Post-War Democratization was the title of the commemorative lecture given by the former president of the International Federation of Journalists, Christopher Warren, to mark the second death anniversary of Sunday leader editor Lasantha. The lecture was held on February 15th to pay tribute to late Lasantha, who was killed on 8th of January 2009 in Ratmalana.
It was January 8th, just another day, except a bit more hectic. It was the day Lasantha, my husband, wrote his very popular political column for the Sunday Leader. And we were late for work. We had made a quick trip to the pharmacy to pick up some medicine, and on the way home, someone from the newsroom called him on his cell phone and told him that our car was being followed. We hadn't noticed anything, but as we turned into our street, two men on a black motorcycle sped past. They wore helmets and black fatigues and stopped a short distance away from us and stared us down as we got out of the car. He said to me, "They're trying to scare me." So he got into his car, and the last thing I heard from him was, "I'll see you in office soon." He drove to the newsroom during rush hour. When he was only about 5 minutes from the office, he slowed down in traffic and his car was ambushed. It was a commando-style operation conducted by 8 men doubled up on 4 motorcycles. They shattered the windshield and windows of the car. When they were finished, witnesses found Lasantha slumped in the front seat, bleeding from a blow to his head.
Last year, Sonali Samarasinghe, widow of slain Sri Lankan journalist Lasantha, accepted the National Press Club's 2009 International Freedom of the Press Award given to her husband in Washington, D.C.
On behalf of all the members worldwide of the National Press Club and all those who fight daily to protect our press freedom, please accept the 2009 John Abashan International Freedom of the Press Award. Congratulations and thank you.
We spoke to Sonali Ratnayaka, who had worked with Lasantha in Sunday Leader as a journalist. Sonali joins with us from Los Angeles, California. Sonali, Lasantha, the fearless editor, was noted for his courage and forthrightness in speaking truth to power. Can you share your thoughts on Lasantha and also share some of your experience working with Lasantha?
Yes, well, when it comes to Lasantha Vikramatunga, many praiseworthy thoughts effortlessly seem to approach my mind. For the most part, not because he was my mentor and most trusted comrade in the field of journalism, in which I'm engrossed and had been for the past several years in my life, but mainly because each and every moment and recollection about this great personality happens to be quite commendable, and those thoughts seem to hold a significance of its own. Yet, let me put it this way. To me, Lasantha was larger than life, a person who depicted absolutely rare and exceptional, extraordinary qualities, both as a focused veteran in his chosen field of journalism, other than him being a qualified attorney, and also in the aspect of being a true human being, giving absolute meaning to humanitarianism as well as humility, I would say, because he was a very simple and humble man. All he aspired was to wake up one day, not to a perfect world, but at least to a considerably unpolluted environment where all genuine efforts of journalists throughout history would ultimately bear fruit. An environment where democracy would not be just another word, but would have had an authentic meaning to it.
What was the most fond memory of Lasantha as your editor?
Once again, there are too many to mention because it was quite natural in him to always make each individual feel unique about him or herself, regardless of the category of services rendered by that person. Even the minor staff at his newspaper office loved and respected him immensely. So if I am to recall the most fond memory, so it's tough to isolate one recollection of him from the other, let me relate this particular incident, which is hilarious as well. This occurred about 6 years ago. I was to interview a particular government minister at that time as part of our routine interviews. If Lasantha would not be in his office at that particular moment, we had this practice of always calling him, even in the middle of the night, and still he would be prompt in answering his phone, attending to our necessities. He did not care whether it was daytime or midnight. The man remained unaffected in aspects of time. Never had there been a day where he would not respond if we tried to reach him. Even if he was in a place where he could not answer the phone, he would communicate via text messaging. And I must say he was impressively swift in texting, and I often wondered, did he type in paragraphs at a time or what? So this particular day too did the same thing, though it was a Saturday evening. I had to double check on matters with regards to the questions that I had to represent at the interview, and I wanted to add a few more questions. And my only remedy was to call my editor. Then as I called, I could hear him panting, which was not normal. So I asked again, is it a good time to talk, or shall I call later? And and he said in his usual warm tone, blended with laughter, no, this is the perfect time. What can I do for you, young lady? And I could still hear the grass gasping from the other end in between the dialogue. Then instead of asking what I was to ask, I asked, where are you? What are you doing? Then came the reply with laughter, I'm jogging. And then I said, it's not working time. And he goes, no, jogging and working. So tell me what you need. In a little while, I realized that he was jogging around his house in the Gegode, which was a routine event. And the phone call lasted about 25 to 30 minutes. And all this while, he was assisting me with the questions and giving me finer points for the interview while jogging round and round. And as he was passing the little boutiques in the corner of the street, I could hear him greeting the vendors while talking to me on the phone. And in Sinhala, the vendors would ask, Mahatyat Akbona, do you like some tea, sir? And he would kindly refuse and continue to jog while working. So that was just one amongst the many fond memories that Lasantha left behind. This particular incident is just one out of the very many that proved how dedicated he was to his work, and he turned it into a joke saying, "I'm jogging and working."
In your view, Sonali, what kind of work Lasantha would have undertaken at present time in Sri Lanka if he was not killed in 2009?
Well, if he was alive today, I don't believe that he would have changed a single entity or played any different role from that of how he devoted his entire life towards the betterment of a mass, towards a just society. And as I mentioned earlier, he was well focused, even in terms of trial and misfortune, as well as during every single moment of his journalism career in which he was attacked, either by the ruling of the day or as well as being brutally attacked physically. Lasantha's focus remained intact. He was never intimidated. Severe conditions outside the norm, which were results of, harsh suppression by each and every government of the day, remained normal conditions for Lasantha as far as his duties were concerned. Machine gun fire on his house or shooting on his vehicle and brutal attacks on his body in numerous occasions did not seem to stop this unbelievable soul. He was persistent, so determined to do the right thing while his career. That's why all perpetrators of all consecutive governments in Sri Lanka along the way found Lasantha and his publication a thorn in their flesh. Therefore, had Lasantha been alive today, had his life not been brutally taken away 2 years ago by these shameless assassins who are still roaming freely with the influence of the supremacy, of course, I believe many more culprits who are raw murderers, thieves, hoodwinks, smugglers, as well as their unashamed conducts would have been exposed to the society week after week.
Thank you, Sonali. That was Sonali Ratnaikar from Los Angeles, California. The Forest Hills High School in New York was packed with about 1,200 people on February 5th to mark the 63rd anniversary of Sri Lanka's independence.
The Permanent Mission of Sri Lanka to the United Nations hosted a concert and a reception on February 5, 2011 at the Forest Hills High School, New York to mark the 63rd anniversary of Sri Lanka's independence. Over 1,200 Sri Lankan expatriates and well-wishers were present at the event, the largest gathering in the history of independence celebrations in New York. The guests were treated to a memorable evening by the renowned Chitrasena Vajra Dance Ensemble, in addition to the music and drama performed by the Sri Lankan community representing all 5 boroughs in New York, the state of New Jersey, and Boston. The occasion was graced by His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Palitha Kohona, along with Major General Shavendra Silva, Deputy Permanent Representative, who inaugurated the event by lighting the traditional oil lamp along with a group of children representing the multi-ethnic Sri Lankan community. The official event consisted of hoisting of the national flag, singing of the national anthem, and Jayamangala Gatha. Addressing the gathering, Dr. Palitha Kohona stated that those Sri Lankans who live overseas have a seminal contribution to make as the nation forges ahead. We must continue to convey the best possible image of Sri Lanka internationally and help to build bridges and foster understanding, bridges among ourselves and with the international community. Following blessings by the Buddhist, Christian, Hindu and Islamic religious dignitaries, the cultural event began with a serene puja dance to pay homage to Mother Lanka.
concludes our news edition. We meet you again with another news edition of News, Views and Entertainment from Boston and USA. Till then, goodbye.